The royal safe door weighed 15,000 pounds and was suspended by a jack like a rolling door. The robber carefully rolled it into the safe through the crack, but found it completely empty. Seeing the scene, everyone opened the door frame in a panic. No one in the world would think that a group of people would work so hard to enter an empty safe. The woman excitedly called the boss outside to inform them that the first step of the operation was successful. Now they just had to wait for the 34 European nobles to obediently take out their treasures and pass them into their pockets. And the night before the auctioneer carefully put the 34 pieces of jewelry into the drawer and arranged them in order. After closing the safe door, it was also locked with fingerprints and facial recognition. Such a tight security system. Even with the key, it would take 6 hours to reopen the safe. So, the robbers immediately started to act, all wearing special protective gear, completely isolating themselves from the outside world. Only then could they ensure that no traces were left, not even a single eyebrow. Meanwhile, the hacker sister had changed the image that the guards saw into a prepared video. Coupled with the soundproofing effect of the safe, no one would know what was happening behind it. After using the excavator to open the previously dug wall, they arrived behind the safe. When the jack was lifted, the robbers rolled inside again. This time, the panic-stricken safe was filled with a negative pressure, making the group of robbers unable to hide their excitement. The leader, Batlin, carefully stepped forward to observe, and at this time the auctioneer was only one wall away from them. Who would have thought that this tightly guarded common ending would be the scene of such a high-profile crime? Batlin ordered his subordinates to return the jewelry boxes to their proper places before the camera could be activated again. When the command was given, several people began their performance. The sparkling jewelry sets made people overwhelmed. But fortunately, each piece of jewelry had its own code, making it easy for the robbers to count the number. Due to everyone's good coordination, all the jewelry was stolen. But unfortunately, during the division of the property, the old man and Batlin had a conflict, causing both the jewelry and the heavy box to fall to the ground, opening the box with a bang immediately attracting the attention of the auctioneer. But the guard explained that it could be the sound of steel expanding. There was no need to pay too much attention. Hearing this, the auctioneer was speechless. Moreover, the guard also showed him the surveillance camera image, which was completely normal, but the auctioneer still felt uneasy. He pressed his ear to the wall, trying to listen for any movement. On the other side of the wall, two people were standing there. Their faces were full of seriousness, afraid that the guard would discover something. A feeling told the guard that something was wrong. He immediately asked the guard to open the safe, but the guard explained that it would take 6 hours to activate the main door. Hearing this, the guard told him to go behind the safe to see what was going on. The vigilant hacker girl immediately understood their intentions. She ordered everyone to immediately leave the safe and close the door. The bandits only beat the worms out, conveniently taking the opportunity to get a remote control to control the machine blocking the entrance. On the other side, the guard had already taken the side door lock. Next, he unlocked it by scanning his fingerprint twice. The problem was that the door was still not completely lowered. Seeing the side door about to open, Kayla felt like the sky was about to fall. Finally, at the crucial moment, all the exits were closed. She was singing, but the camera quickly returned to the original image. Thanks to the precise timing, the auctioneer did not notice the abnormality. Then, the guard held a flashlight and searched everywhere. In no time, he focused on the back of the safe. The alarm immediately went off. The gang of thieves felt like they were about to collapse, as if they were just a few more lines away from crying. The guard did not miss any corner, always observing responsibly, but it seemed like he could not pick up any jacks. Then he closed the side door, returned to the main hall to report to the auctioneer that everything was normal. The vigilant hacker sister immediately understood their intention. She ordered everyone to immediately leave the safe and close the door. The bandits only beat the worms out, conveniently taking the opportunity to grab a remote control to control the machine blocking the entrance. On the other side, the guard had already taken the side door lock. Next, he unlocked it by scanning his fingerprint twice. The problem was that the door had not been completely lowered yet. Seeing the side door about to open, Kayla felt like the sky was about to fall. Finally, at the crucial moment, all the exits were closed. She was singing, but the camera quickly returned to the original image. Thanks to the precise timing, the auctioneer did not notice the abnormality. After that, the guard took a flashlight and searched everywhere. In no time, he focused on the back of the safe. The bell immediately panicked. The gang of thieves felt like they were about to collapse, as if they were just a few more lines away from crying out. The guard did not miss any corner, always observing responsibly, but it seemed like he didn't get any jacks. Then, he closed the side door, returned to the main hall, and reported to the auctioneer that everything was normal. In the auctioneer's travel history, he had chosen a location that was hard to detect, and drove there. Not long after, he arrived. After confirming that there was no one around, he started to open the door. Batlin took out the tool he brought with him, and took out an expensive piece of jewelry. Then he used a lighter to insert the lighter and intentionally left a small part in the toilet. Finally, he left a piece of the ash in the fabric of his shirt, but that was not enough. Batlin also took out a piece of jewelry, cut off a small piece, and pressed it directly into the sofa gap. After completing a series of operations, Batlin returned the car key and put the hat and coat back in their original place. Meanwhile, the mixed group split into groups and returned to the hotel. In order to avoid suspicion, they would not escape that night, but planned to continue searching downstairs the next morning. However, before leaving, the gang needed to thoroughly clean the room, making sure not to leave any evidence or any negligence. In the next room, the old man was arranging the jewelry, then putting it into a vacuum bag and using a machine to compress it into small bags. Seeing the valuable assets that were not easy to obtain, the old man could not help but shed tears. Finally, he put the compressed jewelry bag into the herring box and closed it. After putting it into the device, a brand new instant herring box was completed. The next day, when the police discovered something unusual in the safe, it was too late. She thought that even experts would need 2 hours to unlock the door, so who would come here to steal jewelry? But very quickly, she was slapped in the face. The jewelry was gone without a trace. Not even a hair was left. Everything was taken clean. That day, except for the security guard who stayed on duty and the auctioneer. No one went in or out. So the police immediately arrested the main suspect. Seeing that the plan had succeeded, the robbers were preparing to leave. Botlin had arranged for Borzit and Kayla to be the first to leave. They would take 3 boxes of jewelry, pretend to be tourists, and check out. The 2 of them sneaked away, right in front of the police. Next, they took the Sebit to Spain and continued along the Paisanic mountain path to their destination. Botlin believed that this was a safe way, because the police would not suspect that. There were such valuable diamonds in the tourists' backpacks. And most of all, they could escape using the Sebit. Ken and Cameron dragged Valley out the door. The old man would take the remaining boxes. They would pretend to be a happy family driving a trailer to go on a trip. Botlin was the mastermind, so of course, he would be the last one to leave the hotel. He would handle the items used, in the process of mixing the telescope, tracker, and computer. Finally, he would take the train to the designated location to meet up with everyone. Meanwhile, the police had obtained surveillance video from the garage last night. The image showed that the auctioneer had taken the car out in the middle of the night. The auctioneer felt that this was too absurd, even though he had this title. The man who took the car out in the middle of the night was not him at all. The police were stunned when they heard this. She felt that the auctioneer was really crazy, only knowing how to say nonsense. After searching, they found traces of jewelry in the bathroom and on the sofa. Then they pushed this evidence in front of the auctioneer. Seeing the obvious evidence, the man did not know how to explain. The jeweler couldn't help but suspect that he might have been sleepwalking in the night. The policeman was full of hidden meaning, but she told the man to rest assured. No matter where he hid the jewelry, she would not let the stolen goods leave France. Immediately, the superior mobilized a large number of police to block the road. One moment, a family of 3 was still living comfortably. The next day, it was cold and rainy. The old man could not believe that such a remote road would be checked by the police. The tree immediately became restless. He quickly stood up and took 3 cans of herring. The 2 people were startled by Ken's actions. Ken explained that if the police wanted to check, he would jump out to avoid being investigated. The old man advised him to calm down. After all, what they did was perfect, leaving no evidence. But the man did not think that the police would let them off. When he saw the police signal for them to stop, Ken was about to jump out, but the car was surrounded by fields. Even if he ran with all his might, he would be caught by the police immediately. The old man ordered him to quickly close the door. Cameron told the old man to pay attention to the front, and he immediately turned around and almost crashed into the police. When he reacted, Ken immediately put the fish box back in its original place. Although he was very worried, he still tried to stay calm and stared straight ahead. He only saw a few policemen immediately pointing their guns at them. The old man explained, truthfully, that he had no intention of stabbing them. The police asked them to show their papers and wanted to get in the car. The old man knew that it was useless to say more, so he could only immediately delay and cooperate with the police. He took the fake papers that Cameron gave him, and then the girl immediately stood up and opened the door for the police. The police asked the 3 people to stand still and not move, then began to observe the details inside the car. The old man calmly handed over his papers to the police. Someone quickly noticed the cabinet above. Ken was immediately frightened when he saw this. The police asked where they came from. The old man replied that they were a family of 3 from France, and that this trip was to remember his deceased wife. He added that his mother had never had the chance to travel. After speaking, the police on the other side opened the cabinet. Everyone looked intently at the cabinet, afraid that they would be exposed, surprisingly compared to the fish box. The police were more interested in the box containing the ashes next to it. The girl sadly said that inside was her mother's ashes. But in France, releasing ashes without a magic string is forbidden. They don't even have the right to transfer this ashes box. What do you mean? They won't take our mother away. Don't do that. That's too absurd. But isn't France a free country? Isn't it a place of equality, and no one is forced to do anything? Quiet, sit down. Indy, Jose, sit down. Dad told you to sit down. Trang could not hide his anger, but the police still insisted on opening the box to take out the bones and a can of sardines. The atmosphere in the car immediately became tense. The girl was so panicked that she could only lower her head. Before anyone could react, she quickly held the box tightly to take out the bones, then hurriedly opened the car door and ran out. The police shouted loudly to arrest Cameroon. The girl ran forward with all her might. Behind her was a group of police officers following. She completely ignored the police orders and still ran forward desperately. Even though the police had fired a warning shot, it could not stop her determined steps. The police could only aim at the front of Cameron and shoot directly at the target. This made the girl very frightened. She stood still on the spot, silently waiting for her sentence. Cameron fell to the ground in pain, but the police were still determined to snatch the bone box from the ball's hand. The girl tried to resist fiercely, but after all, the strength between men and women was too different. During the conflict, the bone box slipped out. Cameron could not believe that the scene had happened. Under the watchful eyes of the police, the girl who had just cried from the building picked up the tears little by little to put the bone into the box. The old man hurriedly took revenge on his sad daughter. Seeing the scene, Some police officers could not help but feel a little embarrassed. Open it all you want, search all our things, but give us some peace. Hearing these words, the police couldn't help but sympathize with this family. They decided not to check and let them go. When they returned to the car, the robbers immediately joined the group. Cameroon's acting skills had successfully fooled the police. It would be a shame not to give her the Oscar. The old man who had just escaped the most dangerous situation was thanks to them calling Keela and Borzit. After confirming that they were still in the car, he said that even the remote road they were traveling on had obstacles, so it might not be safe for their car to be in front of them. So the old man told them to get off at the next stop and follow the road. When night fell, they had to set up camp in a secluded and secret place. Wait until the next morning to leave on foot. And remember to stay away from the main road. After receiving the order, the two of them had no choice but to prepare to leave. After that, they obediently got off the car near the mountain stream. At the same time, the old man decided to rest for 3 days at a nearby campsite. Compared to the fleeing thieves, he guessed that the police would never expect them to come after him. Under Ken's command, the old man stopped the car at the right location. As for Ken, he was busy in the car for a while. After confirming that there was no danger around, Ken also started to install the equipment. But this pair of brothers still attracted the attention of the police. Their overly intimate actions showed that they were not just brothers. Meanwhile, the police station was having a headache over the case. They had invited a top female detective with a super high 100% success rate. The first thing she did after taking office was to release the old auctioneer. He had difficulty handling the stolen goods and was very likely to be discovered by the police. So he decided to go back to the hotel to look for the ghost. Before leaving, he assigned the 2 young men to clean up all traces on the car. After the stream, he jumped on his motorbike and drove straight away without looking back. Then Ken started cleaning the car, even intentionally throwing other people's hair all over the corners of the car. When everything was ready, before he could rest, he was closely watched by the police. The police divided into inner and outer circles to surround the mobile home tightly, without a single gap. When a few people were ready to open their guns and rush in, Ken and Mo gradually discovered that the situation was not good. The police gradually approached the car. The situation became more and more tense. But before they could attack, gunshots suddenly rang out from inside the car, making the other side unable to react. But the police quickly reacted, immediately increasing their firepower to attack the car. If the police hold the type of request the other side to stop shooting, very quickly, the gunfire stopped, with the lesson just now as an example. The police ordered the officers to withdraw. Immediately after, if the police tried to negotiate with them but only saw a loudspeaker sticking out of the car door, Song affirmed that he would not sell the goods. But as long as the police gave him 5 minutes to think, he could see the car absolutely compromised. But before that, he needed the police to exit the car area. The police agreed to his request. As soon as he finished speaking, he left the car area. The loudspeaker was recorded. 5 minutes passed quickly. The channel decided to reveal the location of half of the jewelry. Then he was given an address to fire the police. But the female detective was not a novice. She immediately realized that the speed and angle of the loudspeaker were the same. But the police said that they had discovered it long ago, just did not say it. The female detective then walked straight out, confidently approaching the trailer. It turned out that a few minutes ago, the two had escaped through the sewer. The speakers and guns in the trailer were all controlled by machines. Seeing that the other side had realized their plan, the two had no choice but to run as fast as they could. Sure enough, when the female detective entered the trailer, there was no criminal inside, only a group of disguised dummies. This performance made the police outside feel itchy. Oh, how wonderful. They had arranged a puppet show for us, and the carpet on the floor had already attracted the female detective's attention. She then pulled up the carpet and tightly held the handle to open the hatch. The sight of it made her gasp in surprise. It was a very deep hatch. The police immediately followed each other down there, then held their guns and went deeper into the ground to check the situation. Ken and Cameron finally reached the hatch door. Kay didn't think much about it and was about to climb up at that moment. A truck had just passed when he opened the manhole cover. The two finally saw the sunlight, but they did not dare to stay any longer and rushed towards the truck. Looking at the passing cars, Ken immediately came up with a plan. He told Cameron to go to the store next door to buy some glue and go down to shoot glue. The girl was confused but did not ask much and went straight into the store. He took out a stick hidden in a bag and aimed it at a truck. The police in the basement were still following him. It did not take long for them to reach the place where the two were hiding. Just as Cameron walked out of the store, she looked around anxiously. While the girl was thinking about where the canal would be, a punctured truck suddenly ran in front of her. Then the head of a man came out from the car behind. He signaled Cameron to come closer. When Cameron just walked over, the police had also opened the manhole cover. The plum tree quickly climbed onto the roof of the car and perfectly avoided the police's sight. She handed him the glue stick, and he immediately attached the piece of cloth he had just cut to the roof of the car. After thinking, he told Cameron to hold the seat belt on the roof of the car tightly. Then he also climbed inside and pulled the cover up. Now the two of them were completely one with the car. He also tried to glue it from the inside in the hope of escaping. At this time, the police were already on the ground. They carefully searched every corner here. When the truck driver started the car, the two of them felt that victory was near. They would be safe if they just fell off. Unexpectedly, the car had not gone far before it was stopped by the police carrying the stick. The two of them immediately felt that something was wrong. The police asked the driver to get out of the car and open the trunk for inspection. They would open the door, hold the seatbelt tightly, and lean their heads against it. When I say, try to stand up straight, At this moment, the two of them lifted themselves up at the same time. When the trunk was opened, the inside was completely back to normal. There was no sign of anything unusual. Camera was gradually trying to maintain her balance. This difficult movement was really a challenge for her, but the police were still standing below checking the car. Fortunately, when she was about to lose her temper, the police asked the driver to close the door. The two of them immediately collapsed like deflated balloons. But the policeman was still uneasy and rushed up to check the roof. They were going up. Now do the opposite, hold the handrail tightly, and sit down. Now, after a while of hardship, Cameron's body gradually could not bear it anymore. After checking the law, his subordinate reported that these cars were completely normal. The policeman looked around once more before slowly getting down. You can go now. The two of them toasted to the music in a minute. Hearing the sound of the car starting, it seemed that their lives were temporarily safe. And so the driver, unaware of anything, drove the car carrying the two criminals away. Elsewhere, the old man, after a long journey, finally found the leader. But Batlin told him not to act rashly, because the police had found the hotel where they were staying. As long as they checked the surveillance cameras entering and leaving the hotel of the suspects, the case would be cleared up. Therefore, they could not leave this room, otherwise they would startle the snake. Then, Batlin called Keela. He needed her to hack into the hotel system and listen immediately to erase all their images. Unfortunately, Keela was on the boat at the moment and could not receive any signal. Batlin told her that if they could not erase it within 4 minutes, everyone would be dead. Keela panicked and listened immediately. She quickly took out the device she brought with her and used tape to firmly secure the computer to the rocking boat. Then, Keela asked Botrut to speed up, to drive the boat to a place with a stronger signal. Botrut didn't think much, immediately drove the boat away at lightning speed. Elsewhere, the policewoman presented her identity card. She needed to know if any suspicious people had recently rented a room. The receptionist was surprised to discover that the previous group's documents were missing. The waiter next to her added that there was a group of Spanish people who had been here for 17 days, as 5 of them had left 2 days ago, and 1 of them had just returned. And the strange thing was that during their stay, they absolutely did not allow the staff to enter the room to clean. Having said that, the staff immediately reported Batlin's room number. The policewoman immediately requested reinforcements. She needed more people to surround the entire place. Her subordinates immediately thought that they could go to the surveillance room and use the camera to monitor the thieves. The situation was getting more and more tense. Kayla was surrounded by canyons. The bank was also helpless, completely clueless about where to steer. Meanwhile, the police had arrived at the surveillance room. The woman was watching the camera attentively, not daring to miss any details. Might changed right at the crucial moment. The bank accidentally steered the boat out of the canyon. But a new problem arose. The pole had to choose the part with Batlin's image to delete, and this was definitely a huge task. In emergency, Batlin was forced to ask Kayla to delete all the surveillance cameras. Next, hack the entire camera system. The police were completely shocked. They could only watch as all the surveillance cameras suddenly disappeared as if by magic. She hurriedly reported the incident to her superiors, and this was not beyond the detective's expectations. She ordered the hotel staff to get the universal key, ready to break the door and enter. After confirming that the entire camera system was turned off, Batlin and the old man started to act. They walked out of the room and ran to all 4 sides of the hallway. At that moment, the elevator had just arrived at their level. The detective and the police quickly boarded. But unexpectedly, the 2 of them had already escaped before the elevator door opened. The 2 of them quickly hid in the storage room next door, following the main ladder to avoid the pursuit of the 2 female police officers. The old man carried a box. Batlin immediately jumped up and climbed into a pipe. The old man also hurriedly followed behind. It turned out that this pipe led to a basement. Seeing the car in front of them, the 2 of them immediately came up with an idea. That was to disguise themselves as hotel staff, and then go straight to the car. After a while of struggling, Batlin put on his glasses and looked very professional. The old man also found the car key, so he immediately started the car and escaped. Meanwhile, when the police and detectives came to the hotel room and searched everywhere but found no one, if the police saw that, it was certain that they were still hiding in the hotel. So the order was given to close the hotel exit, including the parking lot, but it was still a step too late. The old man had already driven out long ago when her subordinates closed the parking lot afterwards. There was no trace of them. Damn. Then the old man parked the car in a hidden corner. The 2 immediately got out of the car, unbuttoned their shirts, took off their clothes, took off their hats, and threw them all into the trash next to them. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Then the 2 walked out. The delivery guy at the door attracted them, and the 2 quickly walked over. Hello, we are from the billionaire reality show crew in the movie. You guys have the right to decide. We will exchange 15,000 euros for your 2 motorbikes. If you don't agree, then forget it. Time starts. So the 2 of them disguised themselves as delivery men and continued a new escape. Just thinking about losing in front of everyone's eyes made them feel too cool. The 2 ran from morning until sunset. Meanwhile, Kemmer and Ken were curled up in a perfect tarpaulin to avoid the pursuit of the helicopter. After that, the truck arrived in Spain. The 2 were like lying in a passenger bus, enjoying the joy of escaping. When the bus stopped at the service station, the 2 quickly jumped off and ran straight to the assembly point. Borzit and Kayla used the 300 horsepower speedboat to escape with hundreds of Ken. When they reached the shore, the 2 immediately abandoned the boat and went below, crossing the narrow road 190 Ken long, then continuing on a motorbike, then jumping on a boat to escape. Each time they changed vehicles, it became more difficult for the police to track them. As for the unexpected, he did not expect the police to set up a checkpoint 60 Ken away from the capital, since it could not go by road. So the two aimed for the mountain bike on the side of the road. Then they transformed into professional racers, both of them dressed up and cycled around the mountain. In total, it took them 4 days to get out of France. After passing through the mountains and forests and through the wilderness, they finally saw the meeting point. Then the old man lifted his body, took the key hidden underneath, and quickly unlocked the iron chain. The two of them pushed. The big door opened and continued cycling. Finally, they became the first to reach the destination. The chicken happily ran towards them. The group celebrated together in the rain. As for the coming days, Batlin had planned for the group to live in a villa in the suburbs. Until everything calmed down, the media stopped reporting, and the police could no longer find any clues about them.